In this episode, I pressed the Bettors for their selection for the champion of the NCAA football national championship Monday night. And one word is all the Bettors are going to get for those teams advancing or have advanced in the NFL playoffs. Coming up next.
It's time for the Bookie and the Bettors show. Live from Baldini's Casino. Beat the Bookie. Make every bet count. Reno's #1 sports radio show is now on streaming platforms. Now, introducing the Bookie, Rob Kowalski, and the Bettors, Randy Wike and Nick Schulte.
Welcome to the Bookie and Better, folks. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski, joined once again by my two friends here at Baldini's Casino, Nick Schulte, Randy Wike.
It's glad to be back,
yes.
Guys. Glad to be back.
Well, we got a couple of things to go ahead and hit on our agenda, but let's go ahead and start right up from the very top. Randy, you've been... Boy, oh boy, your shield has been battered and bruised with all things NIL and transfer portal. But here we are with the actual two teams that have weathered all of that. The list of players that are All-Americans on both of these teams probably weren't their first selection when it came down to what school they were going to choose to begin with.
Well, you got $22 million in NIL monies for the starting 22 players for Ohio State.
Okay.
That says it all.
It's probably about the going rate to get to the national championship, I would think. It's all business now, Randy. It's okay.
It is.
So we set up this game, obviously, some time ago over the weekend when Ohio State and Notre Dame qualified. Nick, this game, Monday night, 4:30 p.m., Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, I really didn't want this number to go this high, but the market actually opened it up as high as 9.5. It's now down to 8. Ohio State Buckeyes, 8 and the total 46. Let's position it this way, Nick. Where's this title game going to be won or lost?
I mean, we've heard it before, defense wins championships. Looking at the total, I mean, I think the bookies are probably thinking more of a defensive game than a scoring game. So I think Ohio State wins and they cover.
Does make sense.
I think in kind of back, I was going to ask before you kind of brought it up is, what's the NIL money for each team? And that's kind of where I'm putting my money.
$22 million.
Randy had that number pretty quick.
Yeah.
Randy, the list of, well, I kind of started to circle some players that are just on this team. And both of these teams, a lot of them happen to come out of Ohio State, and funny, they're the ones that are the favorite. However, wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, offensive guard Donovan Jackson, safety Caleb Downs. Heck, I suppose we could probably say Xavier Watts on Notre Dame. Real incredible season. He's kind of, been everything you could ask for out of the back end of Notre Dame's defense.
But think about this, guys, and I mean this. If you look at what Ohio State did with Michigan in the last game, not even in really the game, they got outplayed. What they've done in the playoff is amazing. Smith at wide receiver is the best athlete I have seen in a long time. They have played fantastic. And then you look at Notre Dame on the Notre Dame side of the ball, back to your point about defenses, their defense has been phenomenal. They fly to the ball. Yeah. And, back in my day, we used the terminology, fly to the ball on defense. Yeah. And they do. And, I really like what I see with them. And, again, to your point, Nick, you look at this total at 46. When you got really two great defenses so far in the playoffs, are you saying Ohio State wins 24-10, 27-10, 34-10? I think Notre Dame can give them a tussle if Notre Dame can run the ball. Notre Dame's got to be able to run the football. I think that defense holds in. They're going to be doing a lot of blitzing. And then on the offensive side for Ohio State, can they stop Smith? Because he's a beast. And Judkins, the whole group has been a beast. But this Smith's the best I've seen in a long time.
I just, look at their O-line and their D-line, and I think, Ohio State is just bigger, faster, stronger. They're
all pro. To mention that, Nick, on Jeremiah Smith.
You don't get to that level without having some talent.
The kids, this, by the way, is true freshman, Jeremiah Smith. Chip Kelly Okay, he's been the head coach of NFL, collegiate level. He says he's never seen a receiver like Jeremiah Smith. 6'3", a bona fide, like barefoot, 6'3", 225 pounds, simply uncoverable in the first two games.
And he flies by the
Are we looking
uncoverable.
at a potential next Megatron?
And I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think he's the best player. And Ohio State's had some good wide receivers. He's the best player I've seen in most recent years coming from that position. And to Rob's point, he's a freshman.
I'm going to assume, too. I mean, that's not a small guy at 6'3". Pretty,
He's got hands,
pretty quick
speed,
Pretty quick. What's his
and he
40?
glides.
43?
When he gets by you, he glides.
So eight's the number, right? I'm trying to find a position where I can get maybe a little backup support here on the Irish. I mean, look, obviously Ohio State's defense in the postseason, right? Let's just call it the postseason. They're giving up 17.3 points a game, and it's not against, Akron. It's Texas, it's Oregon, it's Tennessee.
Big teams that are in the playoff as well.
Do we think that Notre Dame's offense is a little too one-dimensional? Even if it is one-dimensional, it did the job, right? It got there. It beat the teams that it needed to in front of them.
I think the spread is too many. I've got Notre Dame.
I got a buyer. Good. The only other thing that I wanted to mention, of course, on this game was, look, Notre Dame's obviously been, pretty overwhelming. The only fact that I'm seeing here is that they clearly haven't. They faced some very, very good talent in front of them. I just don't know if they faced Ohio State's caliber all season. Ohio State's, they've got a momentum combined with a recent history of success against Notre Dame. It's setting the stage for the number.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. They haven't played somebody that's this caliber.
Yeah.
I think
They played Indiana.
they're probably down 14 points and they start changing their game plan a little bit and it just kind of gets out of hand.
I don't think if Notre Dame gets down early, this game will be a blowout.
Don't want to see that.
Yeah, nobody does.
Like everyone to stick around for that.
I do got to say, I love the new the playoff format because neither of these teams would have been in it.
Yeah.
And look, they're the final one standing.
For the devil's advocate, a lot of it said, the teams that weren't meant to, they kind of got in shoehorned at the very end. They're not there. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you guys brought that up because I wasn't going to bring this up. Are you kidding me? Boise State gets a bye in Arizona State with the caliber of these teams that didn't get in. What about Alabama? Because I really thought Boise and Arizona State should not have received byes. And again, I like the format, but I think they need to nurture it during the offseason here, make some tweaks, because you can't have that where these teams are getting byes and then they were like a high school team against a college team.
All right, Mr. Wike, you did it again. It's early January. It's 2025. I'm dead serious about this. We're going to have to roll out the top 5 most overused sayings right now. Top 5 in no particular order.
This is wrong. This is just wrong.
Are you kidding me? Is in my top 5 of most overused sayings. X just could be anything.
Now you're talking from me?
Oh, no. This is just in general.
Oh,
so
general.
here's what
Okay.
I'm going to do. I'm just going to lay these out. This is my top 5.
Okay.
Right, and just going to put this out. So, you can take notes as you
I
wish.
gotcha.
Are you kidding me? So you just struck a nerve there. You hit that top 5. X is anything that you want, is going to be scary. Overused. This is, quote, the greatest or the worst when it's neither. Okay? And who's the judge of that? It's me, right? I'm the host, so I'm going to judge
I
whether.
gotcha.
Okay, good.
Everybody's got an
Brutal.
opinion, even though it's
Brutal is definitely overused.
That's a good one. I use it a lot, yeah.
It is what it is.
one of my personal favorites.
No, speaking of your personal favorites, at the end of the day,
I might throw that in there a few times.
first of all,
Use that a few times as well.
to each their own, agree to disagree. If the shoe fits, think outside the
I thought
box.
we were only talking 5.
There's some outside looking
I'm
in.
taking the
Oh,
over.
okay. That's a Randy White thing. We're already over.
Flash in the pan. All right, here's what's going to happen. If I catch you guys using any of these overused sayings for this 2025 season, I'm fining you.
Okay.
It's a $5 fine.
Can I
Gotcha.
make a wager on how long we can last without saying that? 'Cause
I'm bringing the bucket. Chris, be prepared. I'm telling you, it's going to be, every time I hear it, I'm going to
I'll
fine
give
you.
Randy a half a show.
All right, let's move on to the next segment now that I've got that out of the way. We have one word and one word only. I gave you guys some homework. We have the teams that have either advanced in the NFL playoffs or are waiting, and they are awaiting their winner. So obviously we've got our four matchups this coming weekend, and what I wanted to discuss is one word that we're going to give to the teams that have advanced. Let's go ahead and start, Randy, here with the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously on a bye, they're hosting Houston. The number is 8. The total's 41.5. One word for the Kansas City Chiefs, Randy.
Mahomes.
Expand on that. Thank you.
Because he can take the game and make the game his own without having help
Yeah.
with the wide receivers, defense, or running back play.
Nick,
He can change the game.
Kansas City, one word.
Three-peat. Hyphenated.
It is. That's fine. Please. Yeah, I know we talked futures pretty much all season long.
Yes, Mahomes, 100%. He is a game changer. And if they didn't have Mahomes, would they still be in the same situation they are today? Probably not. But you have an offense that hasn't put up 30 points in a game this season. And they've only, I know technically they've lost 2, but with their starters, they've only lost 1.
Yep.
And we all know who wins championships. So
That's a good one from Randy. Of course, defense does. I would like to add to this conversation and use the word rested. Obviously, with their bye week.
Rusted or rested?
Rested.
Okay.
Rested, yes. As
not to
in,
be confused with Russ.
You know, it's funny you brought that up because I watched some film clips on 2 different networks this past weekend. If you looked at the last 5 games for the Chiefs, Kelsey wasn't the same guy.
No.
Now, I know he's got a lot going on in his life, personal life, Taylor Swift, but he looked tired. And, you know, the rest that he got here at the end of the season, that might be a difference maker.
Yeah.
It's funny you bring that up because he wasn't the same player.
he was-
They showed him running routes.
I would
It
say
was like he didn't want to be there.
all year, though. I mean, I know he's had a few flashes, but
He's been gassed.
yeah, he's not the same Kelsey
He's
was.
gassed. I think he's reached a point where that
got a
tank
good life. He's got
that
some
tank is
stuff.
not full anymore. Probably tops out at around 3/4.
Some of us in our older ages, we're not quite as quick as we used to be, or agile as you used to be. Are those words on that chart? No.
Denver Broncos. They lost. Buffalo Bills. Nick, I'm going to start with you here. One word for the Buffalo Bills.
MVP.
Please.
I mean,
I know what you're talking. That's excellent.
and it's one of the, and it's I mean, I think obviously comes down to talking MVP, Lamar or Allen, but you take Lamar out of that role, I think the Ravens are still a good team.
Yeah.
You take Allen out of that role, are the Bills even making the playoffs?
Super great point.
I mean, and so as far as being the most valuable player, I think it's Josh Allen. I think it's going to be a great game. I think the Bills come out and win it.
Now, the last time these two teams met, the Ravens blew them off the field.
Yes,
I think
they did.
double the yardage.
Yeah.
Now you're
do
going to
do we
Buff-
have a weather report? Because it is an evening.
It's
game.
going to be cold. I
It's
know.
going
I
to be
know.
brutally cold. The game opened. So we opened Buffalo 1.5, went to pick pretty quickly, and now it's Baltimore 1 with a total 51.5.
This is my upset special.
Oh, on a 1
Buffalo
point game,
Bills.
upset special.
Buffalo Bills with home field makes a difference in this game. I really believe that. You're coming off. They were embarrassed against this Raven team. They will bounce back in that home field advantage in Orchard Park. Look out.
I've got lots of phrases there, but I still need one word for the Buffalo Bills from you.
Home.
That's excellent. I'm going to go with cooking, as in running back. Cook, who ran for 120 yards and a touchdown on 23 carries in the wild card win over Denver. I think he's going to be a real key component here for Buffalo if they plan on doing what they need to do at home. Clearly, a lot of people would like to see this game as the AFC Championship game, but alas, here's how it all plays itself out. So again, and we'll get to the picks.
I only use one word at home with my wife because I never win. So it's tough for me to do here with you guys.
Let's take the other side of the ledger here. We are talking about the Baltimore Ravens here. Randy, let's start with you here with the Baltimore Ravens, who, easy to say, off of their wild card win, how brilliant Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry were, in his rushing yards. Actually, the both of them combined. So one word for the Baltimore Ravens.
Rushing. Again, if Baltimore wins this game, it's due to the rushing attack.
So good. Nick.
Defense and lack thereof. I think this game comes down to, we know both teams are going to score, and I think if the Bills can get one or two stops, and then just puts the ball back in the Ravens' court, can they stop Josh Allen every single drive?
Yeah.
I don't think they can. I think the Bills are going to score, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal, every single drive, and I think Bills step up and they stop Lamar at least once or twice. And that's going to be the difference in the game.
I think I know which way the both of you are going to go with the selection in the next segment. However, it's funny, I'm going to hit on my one word that's going to touch both of your one words. Monken, as in Coach Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator, clearly said, I only know one thing on how to make this team work: rush the ball until they can't handle another thing. Almost 300 rushing yards, 299 rushing yards from Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. It's a blowout, really more about the offensive coordinator and, what this unit can do when Monken is truly in his bag.
Okay, I do have to say something here. Mm-hmm. Jerry Jones. See where Derrick Henry's at? Could have been a Cowboy. Derrick Henry.
He would not be having the same success.
I'd put that guy on my team anytime.
100%, but not taking nothing away from the king.
This is good. Hold on a second, though. I know we're really out there right now in whatnot land, but healthy all season long quarterback. Just that. You don't think Derrick Henry has the same season that he had with Baltimore on the Dallas Cowboys?
No, because they're one-dimensional. Can Prescott run the ball like Jackson does? No. The read option, how many yards did he get off that read option? Because you have to contain Lamar.
Lot.
Because Lamar can beat you just as well as Henry can. So you can't cheat versus if you have a Dak Prescott out there, if you're an edge rusher, you're cracking down that corner every time. Because I know that, my cornerback's got containment on the outside, and I know King Henry's going to run over the linebacker.
But to that point, if the Ravens didn't have a Derrick Henry, would they be where they're at?
I think they'd still be in the playoffs.
I
think they'd still be playing this game.
I don't know if they'd be even playing this game. What? I think they'd be in bigger trouble. So, okay, on that exact note, Randy, have you ever seen a combination where there possibly could be co-MVPs on one NFL team?
No, and that's why I think this is, and you had mentioned her, Nick, this really should be the AFC Championship game, because this is, in my mind, the two best teams. I know Kansas City is out for a three-peat, but let's be honest, they're not the same team.
What's their
now,
record?
They'll probably prove me wrong. But this, with the talent level, with the two quarterbacks, because Josh has had a great season. Mm-hmm. The other thing we need to look at, and I haven't seen the status with Zay Flowers, if these guys play and Baltimore is healthy, this is going to be a great football game.
Oh, yeah, no, I got a circle on my calendar to watch for sure.
And I have a circle on Zay Flowers, who I don't think is going to play.
He's not?
I still haven't checked the full of it, but the way it's playing and the line move where Baltimore flipped dog to favorite makes me think that he will. To what extent is he going to be? I don't know. However, to move things along, let's move on to the next one word that we're going to give. Nick, you're up here. Houston Texans. One word.
Out.
Go ahead, summarize.
I mean, just plan your trip to Mexico. I mean, you'll be there by the next Monday.
Randy Wike.
Is there a 49er twist on this?
Yes, probably. Houston Texans.
Defense.
You're reading my notes, Randy Wike. I wrote exactly that. The defense, the Texans' 32-12 wild card win over the Chargers, provided two key takeaways to me, right? The first is that this team had too much pride to simply just limp into the postseason and then get eliminated in its own stadium in the first round. However, the other is that Houston's defense can still be a problem, Randy.
Those defensive secondary, those corners and safeties are nasty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's exactly it's literally right there, Randy. I don't know if I could see through this or not.
I haven't got to that point. I can second guess my wife's next statement, but I haven't got to yours
yet. They sacked Justin Herbert 4 times, intercepted him 4 times. Safety Eric Murray.
It's crazy to think about on that point real quick that Justin Herbert has more interceptions in 2025 than he did all in 2024.
Doesn't make sense.
And we're only, not even 20 days in. He's played 1 game. I thought the Chargers were going to, my money was on Harbaugh that game. Clearly that didn't work out. And who saw Justin Herbert having the game?
Not that. Not that bad.
Happy feet or what it is.
Well, and again, not to elaborate much more, I love the Texans. They remind me of the Lions. That aggressiveness on defense. The coach is all about his players. And this team can do some things on defense, so watch out.
Randy White, great dovetail. Let's go and give one word to the Detroit Lions.
Offense.
Okay. You want to bullet point that for me?
This team can score with anybody.
Anybody.
And I think when you look at any game and you look at the total, I'm 55.5 for a playoff game. But you got to outscore them. I mean, again, this game, I have it 37-31, Detroit with my little computer. But you got to outscore this team. You're not gonna beat them 20-17.
That's for sure. Nick Schulte, one word for the Lions.
Predictable. You guys all know my stance on the Lions. I love what they've done. Love the energy around the team. And I was thinking about it over the last week of what's my bone to pick with them. And I just keep they're just too predictable. And especially as you get into these playoff games where now you have coordinators game planning around not just 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks worth of tape on you. They're looking at the entire season and they're finding out your training season. The Lions are just very predictable, and it's going to come bite them. I know what I said earlier. I really thought the matchup would be probably Rams-Lions.
Yes.
And I didn't think they were going to make it.
Yes.
Commanders have a tough road. They can score.
That defense is suspect.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop them. But the Commanders will stop at least 1 4th down conversion.
See, okay, so this is great. So I'll just like I looped from Randy's thought to you, we're going to go ahead and stay with you here, and we're going to now go to the Washington Commanders. One word for Washington after their result in the wild card round.
Hope. Hey, I mean, I'm not a Commanders fan. Haven't followed them too much, but not really a team that really comes to mind when you think of good teams. It seems like they got their next franchise quarterback.
Yes, they do.
Obviously the receiver is doing good, and even the running. I think that they got a good team, and again, I don't know if they have the offensive firepower to overcome the Lions, but hey, I mean, you're one of 4 teams remaining.
Randy Wike, the Detroit Lions, a 9-point favorite at the Book of Baldini's with a total 55.5. How about a word for the Washington Commanders?
Quarterback.
Yeah.
Quarterback can change this game. Again, let's face it, he's the only rookie to ever win a playoff game, first playoff game.
That's true.
And I mean, he can change the I don't want to say the tone of a game, but he's a guy that can, if you get down 10-0, he can bring you back.
Yeah. Randy, and that's a great point here. We could go ahead and button up the Washington Commanders here. I completely agree. I mean, the Commanders, obviously, they passed their first major test of the postseason with that win in Tampa, without a doubt. Detroit is a different animal, but I think that if there's a team out there, I think Washington seems far more prepared to face it after the wild card weekend that they just had. So, Randy, we're going to stay with you here and move on to the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's do the Eagles next here, who had themselves a bye. They are now a 6-point favorite after opening 5.5, and then 6. The total 44, hosting the LA Rams.
Well, and again, I have 2 things to go here, but I'm going to go running back. Again, I think Barkley is the key to their success. If Philadelphia, and I say this wholeheartedly, if Philadelphia can't run the ball, what I watched from the Rams this last week with 9 sacks,
Yes.
that defensive front was as good as any defensive front in any playoff game. If they stop Barkley, Hurts is going to have a long day. I don't care with Smith and Brown and whoever else he's got out there. It ain't going to work.
Nick, you called upon in last week's episode, Rams everywhere from every single possible way, alt line and everything. However, it's not about them that we're talking about right now, although they are going to be playing the Eagles. How about a word for the Eagles first?
Vacation. Pack your bags because you'll be on vacation come Monday.
You're setting up the very next segment with our selections pretty quickly here.
What's the weather supposed to be in Philadelphia? Cold.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything that's precipitous. However, it is going to be pretty cold. Okay, fair enough. I wrote down passing for that matter. I wasn't too impressed with A.J. Brown happening to read a book during the game while he was probably not too pleased getting, I don't know if it was one reception or not.
Last game, right?
Probably.
Very, very well could be his last game.
As it should.
For the record, I don't remember who I had on there, but I had a bunch of stupid stuff. And all I needed was A.J. Brown to catch 5.5 passes.
I'm not going to use a term that's overused here.
I've got one, but I won't bring it up.
That's fine. There is a fine as well. If you'd like to use it, it's going to cost you $5.
Yeah, no, I won't.
To me, I really
won't
honestly
do it
think
today.
that the Eagles are not going to have A.J. Brown on the roster next year.
I would.
You can't. I mean, you can't do that during a regular season game. You can't take out a book and just start reading it just because you're not happy with how many catches you're getting or how many throws or targets you're getting. Actually, it's the Rams that I want to stay with here. But to Nick first, since we're kind of circling all the way around and to the very end here, as this is our last team here. One word for the LA Rams.
Let's go NFC-champion.
I will accept.
Is that allowed?
I will accept grudgingly.
Okay, thanks.
Please tell us a bit about that.
I made no secret about Week 12. They got hot, and they've been hot ever since. And they all probably got some personal stuff that's not great in their lives, and they're coming out to play, and they're coming out to play hard. And just watching the way they just absolutely destroyed their defense, destroyed that offense.
Yeah.
And it just,
It was amazing.
I felt bad for Darnold, but yeah, they're going to get hot at the right time. I think the Eagles are going to be looking at the Lions and not even really thinking about this game. And I kind of think that the Lions might even be kind of doing the same thing about the Eagles. And you know what I feel about the Lions? It's only a matter, law of averages, they're going to get burned eventually.
Yeah.
And when you get burned in the playoffs, there's no coming back.
There's no coming back.
There's not next week. So
I do want to bring up one thing. If you look back at past history, the road dog that is 6 to 7 to 8 points as the dog, they surprise and win.
I have something for you as well as we enter almost to the very end of our next segment. However, Randy, let's put a cork in this one. One word for the LA Rams here.
Defense.
Okay. Fair enough.
Defense.
I think that there's much to be said about what they've done. For me, I'd like to see energy. If their energy that they showed in the wild card round can continue, look out. I think it's going to be a real big surprise in Philadelphia. So,
Isn't their quarterback, though, like 58?
he's about
He's
that
been up there.
less
He's been
20,
up there.
but
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and actually take a look here, and let's go rapid fire here as we look to wrap up this episode and find our way to some winners here in the NFL divisional playoffs. Randy, let's start with you here. The Houston Texans, Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs 8 in the total, 41.5.
I got the Chiefs winning, but I have the Texans covering.
Got it. Okay, so you're taking the 8, but you're not seeing them as an outright win here.
Again, back to Nick's point, I have this as a 27-24 game. I think the Texans keep it close.
I do also want to mention, as Randy mentioned, exactly that. The last 18 favorites in the NFL playoffs, you don't have to go back too far, of 7 points or more, are 18-0 straight up in the NFL playoffs. And that game happens to land right in there. Nick,
How many times did the Chiefs cover this year?
Not many.
The trend is your friend.
Catching the 8?
I'm catching the 8. I think
Okay.
Chiefs win. You know my feelings. I think
Of course.
they're going to be playing in the Super Bowl, but they do not cover.
Game number 2, Nick, you first here. This is Saturday night at 5 p.m. The Washington Commanders visit the Detroit Lions. The Lions up to, and there's some 9.5. So let's go with our live number here at Baldini's Casino, 9, and the total 55.5. Nick,
Can I do 2 bets on this one? I'd like to do 4 units on Commanders with the points and 1 unit on Commanders money line.
you could do anything you want, my friend.
So
That is,
I already bet it. I got $100 on the Commanders plus 9, and then I got Commanders money line plus 4.
Randy. I don't know if that was a grimace, a laugh, or both.
I'm confused.
Well, I won about 1,100 on the Rams last week, so pretty good.
There you go.
What's your position here?
I have it 37-31. And again, one of the other questions I had, David Montgomery, is he?
Yes,
He's in.
He is going to have reps in this game.
So again, with the Gibbs-Montgomery show, I like him when they're both in that backfield, but it's going to be a high-scoring game. I mean, get your popcorn early and just sit down because it's going to be a lot of points.
So
I have the Commanders covering.
Commanders covering, and if you go ahead and put down the Wike 3000 score over the 55.5 as well.
Big over. In fact, I've already bet it 3 times. Now, I haven't been healthy to bet, so I figured I better make up for it. So I got into my stash fund, which my wife doesn't know anything about,
Until
and
now.
bet 3 times on it.
All right, let's wrap this on up quickly here for Sunday. LA Rams and the Philadelphia Eagles. Randy, you first here. The Eagles 6 and the total 44.
I have this as my big upset.
Yeah.
I have Rams winning outright, money line. Don't be shocked, again, if this game isn't 23-20. I like the Rams.
Kind of on the number. So clearly you're loving the points here and you like them to win outright. Should we even spend 10 seconds here? But please.
Same thing I did with the Commanders game. I'll do 4 units on Rams with the points and 1 unit on Rams.
So surgically precise. I like this. This is great. You want letting know exactly where you want to be on this one. Let's end up right here with the last one. Nick, you first here. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. We kind of hinted on what your selection is here. It's the last game here Sunday afternoon at 3:30 p.m. The Bills, who opened as a 1-point favorite, are now a 1-point dog. So the Ravens won and the total 51.5.
It's a playoff game. You got a home field advantage, and you're getting points.
Yep.
Money in the bank. Bills.
Randy, you're getting your thunder stolen here, but I'll let you end it right here with final comments
Wait,
here on this
you
last.
can take out a second mortgage. or sell the wife.
I have the Bills winning 30-27.
30-27. If only,
It's
if
going to
only.
be a great game.
We got ourselves
looking forward to watching.
quite a good playoff setup here for the division. Thank you all so much for.
Well, wait, now I do have one other thing. All those teams that lost last week, that one word that we used, quarterback, get one.
That's our show for today. See you all again next week. Thank you so much for joining us. If you like what you saw here, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. See you again next time. For Randy, for Nick, gentlemen, thank you so much again. I'm your host, Robert Kowalski. See you again next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Bookie and the Better Show. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be the first to know when new episodes drop. Hit that subscribe button and join us.